The Aftermath of Us, Chapter 6 and 7. Chapter 6, First Steps. The text came Friday evening, just as Alara was giving Leo his bath. Her phone buzzed on the bathroom counter, and she glanced at it while Leo splashed enthusiastically, sending water cascading over the edge of the tub. "Hi, Alara, it's Marcus, the Dino Doctor," according to Leo. "The museum exhibit opens tomorrow at 10 a.m. Would you like to meet there, or would you prefer I pick you up? Either way works for me. Looking forward to seeing you both. Marcus." Alara stared at the message, her heart doing that fluttering thing again. He'd remembered Leo's nickname for him. Such a small detail, but it made her smile in a way that felt rusty from disuse. "Mama, Bubbles," Leo announced, holding up a handful of soap suds like they were the most precious treasure in the world. "I see them, baby. Very pretty bubbles." She typed back quickly, "Meeting there sounds perfect. See you at 10. The response came almost immediately. "Great. Can't wait. P.S. I may have worn my dinosaur shoes specifically for this occasion." Despite herself, Alara laughed out loud. Leo looked up at her with curious eyes, water dripping from his curls. "What's so funny, Mama?" "Nothing, sweetheart, just someone being silly." But as she helped Leo out of the tub and wrapped him in his favorite dinosaur towel, a coincidence that now felt like fate, her mind was racing. What did one wear to a children's museum? What did one wear on a first date that wasn't really a date because your toddler was coming along? What did one wear when you hadn't been on any kind of date in over a year and had forgotten how to be anything other than Leo's mom? That night, after Leo was asleep, she stood in front of her closet like it was a puzzle she couldn't solve. Everything felt wrong, too dressy, too casual, too much like she was trying too hard, too much like she wasn't trying at all. Finally, she settled on dark jeans, a soft blue sweater that brought out her eyes, and comfortable boots. Practical, but pretty. The kind of outfit that said, "I'm a responsible mother, but also, I'm still a woman." Saturday morning dawned bright and crisp, the kind of autumn day that made everything feel possible. Leo was in an excellent mood, chattering about dinosaurs from the moment he woke up. He'd insisted on wearing his T-Rex shirt and had spent 10 minutes roaring at his reflection in the mirror. "Dino Doctor," he announced as they walked through the museum's glass doors, his cast-free hand clutching his stuffed Triceratops. "That's right, we're going to see the Dino Doctor," Alara said, scanning the crowded lobby. Her stomach was doing nervous flips, and she wondered if this was a mistake. What if the magic of their first meeting had been a fluke? What if they had nothing to talk about? What if Leo had a meltdown? What if... Alara! She turned to see Marcus approaching, and her worries evaporated like morning mist. He was wearing jeans and a green button-down shirt that made his eyes look warm and kind. And yes, he was indeed wearing the dinosaur sneakers. But what made her heart skip was the genuine smile on his face, the way his whole expression lit up when he saw them. "Dino Doctor!" Leo shrieked with delight, launching himself toward Marcus with the fearless enthusiasm that only toddlers possessed. Marcus caught him easily, lifting him up with a laugh. "Hey there, buddy. I see you brought your Triceratops friend." "His name is Spike," Leo announced solemnly, holding up the stuffed animal for inspection. "Spike is an excellent name for a Triceratops, very fierce." Marcus examined the toy with the seriousness it deserved. "Are you ready to see some real dinosaurs?" "Real ones." Leo's eyes went wide. "Well, they're bones, which is pretty close to real, don't you think?" As they walked toward the exhibit, Marcus fell into step beside Alara. "You look beautiful," he said quietly, just for her. The compliment sent warmth spreading through her chest. "Thank you. You clean up pretty well yourself, Doctor. Chen." "Marcus," he corrected gently. "Just Marcus today." The dinosaur exhibit was everything Leo could have dreamed of and more. Towering skeletons dominated the space, their ancient bones casting dramatic shadows on the walls. Interactive displays invited children to dig for fossils, and life-sized models of various dinosaurs created an immersive prehistoric world. Leo was in absolute heaven. He raced from display to display with the boundless energy of a child who had found his paradise, his cast making him no less enthusiastic. Marcus proved to be the perfect companion, reading the information plaques in dramatic voices, helping Leo reach the interactive buttons, and answering his endless stream of questions with patience and genuine interest. "This one is a Brachiosaurus," Marcus explained, pointing up at a massive skeleton. "See how long his neck is? He could eat leaves from the very tops of trees." "Like a giraffe," Leo exclaimed. "Exactly like a giraffe, but much, much bigger." Alara found herself watching Marcus as much as she watched the exhibits. The way he crouched down to Leo's level when explaining something. The way he listened to Leo's observations, even the nonsensical ones, with complete attention. The way he seemed genuinely delighted by her son's enthusiasm rather than merely tolerating it. When they reached the fossil dig area, Leo immediately dove in, his good hand scooping sand with determination while his casted arm rested carefully in his lap. Marcus knelt beside him, helping him brush away sand from a plastic fossil. "Look what you found," Marcus said with excitement that seemed completely genuine. "That's a T-Rex tooth." "Really?" Leo's face was radiant with joy. "Really? You're quite the paleontologist." Alara felt something shift inside her chest, a wall she hadn't even realized was there beginning to crumble. Watching Marcus with Leo, seeing how natural and easy their interaction was, she felt a dangerous flutter of hope. Not just for herself, but for Leo. For the possibility that maybe, just maybe, they could be part of something bigger than just the two of them. "Coffee?" Marcus suggested when they'd exhausted the exhibit and Leo was starting to show signs of needing a snack. "There's a cafe upstairs, and I believe they have dinosaur-shaped cookies." "Dinosaur cookies?" Leo perked up immediately. As they settled at a small table overlooking the museum's main atrium, Leo contentedly munching on a Stegosaurus cookie, Alara found herself relaxing in a way she hadn't in months. The conversation flowed easily. Marcus asked about her work at the coffee shop, shared stories from medical school, and listened with genuine interest when she talked about Leo's latest developmental milestones. "He's incredible," Marcus said, watching Leo attempt to bite the spikes off his cookie in a specific order. "You've done an amazing job with him." "It doesn't always feel that way," Alara admitted. "Some days I feel like I'm barely keeping my head above water." "That's what makes you a good parent," Marcus said seriously. "The ones who think they have it all figured out are usually the ones who don't." There was something in his tone that made her look at him more closely. "You sound like you speak from experience." Marcus was quiet for a moment, stirring his coffee thoughtfully. "My parents divorced when I was 8. My mom raised my sister and me mostly on her own. I watched her struggle, watched her doubt herself, watched her sacrifice everything for us. And I watched her raise 2 kids who turned out pretty okay, despite her constant worry that she wasn't doing enough." "Is that why you became a doctor?" "Partly. I wanted to help people the way I wished someone could have helped her. Made things easier, you know." He looked up at her, his expression soft. "But also because I learned early that the strongest people are often the ones who feel the most fragile. Like you." The words hit her unexpectedly, and she felt tears prick at her eyes. "I don't feel very strong most days." "That's exactly what I mean." Marcus reached across the table and gently touched her hand. "You're raising an incredible little boy, working multiple jobs, rebuilding your life from scratch. You're one of the strongest people I've ever met, Alara. The fact that you don't see it just proves my point." Leo chose that moment to announce loudly, "Mama, I need to potty." Effectively breaking the emotional tension, but Alara was grateful for the interruption. Marcus's words had touched something deep inside her, something she wasn't quite ready to examine. As they walked to the restroom, Leo chattering about all the dinosaurs he'd seen, Alara caught Marcus watching her with an expression she couldn't quite read. When their eyes met, he smiled. Not the easy, charming smile from earlier, but something deeper, more serious. "Thank you," she said quietly. "For today? For everything." "Thank you for letting me be part of it," he replied. This has been the best Saturday I've had in a very long time. As they prepared to leave the museum, Leo clutching a small dinosaur toy that Marcus had insisted on buying him, Alara felt something she hadn't experienced in months. Genuine happiness. Not the forced cheerfulness she wore for Leo's sake, not the determined optimism she projected for the support group, but real, uncomplicated joy. "Can we do this again sometime?" Marcus asked as they stood outside the museum, Leo already asking to go back and see the big dinosaurs again. "I'd like that," Alara said, and meant it completely. "Next weekend? There's a children's theater doing a production of The Very Hungry Caterpillar. I thought Leo might enjoy it." "He loves that book," Alara said, her heart doing that fluttering thing again. "It's a date then," Marcus said, then caught himself. "I mean, if you want it to be. A date, that is. Or just friends hanging out. Whatever you're comfortable with." For the first time in a very long time, Alara felt brave. A date sounds perfect. Chapter 7. Growing Closer. The week between their museum visit and the theater date passed in a blur of anticipation and anxiety. Alara found herself checking her phone more often than she cared to admit, smiling at Marcus's texts, pictures of dinosaur-related things he encountered throughout his day, funny stories from the hospital, gentle check-ins about how Leo's arm was healing. She'd told Sarah about the date during their weekly coffee meetup, and her friend had practically bounced in her seat with excitement. "A doctor who likes kids and wears dinosaur shoes?" Sarah had said, stirring her latte with enthusiasm. "Alara, this man sounds too good to be true." "That's what I'm afraid of," Alara had admitted. "What if I'm reading too much into this? What if he's just being nice?" "Honey, men don't spend their Saturday mornings at children's museums being just nice. Trust me on this one." But despite Sarah's reassurance, Alara couldn't shake the feeling that she was walking on thin ice. The last time she'd trusted someone with her heart, and more importantly, with Leo's, it had ended with quiet devastation and a toddler asking for someone who was never coming back. The theater was small and intimate, with rows of folding chairs arranged in front of a simple stage. Leo was mesmerized from the moment the lights dimmed. His eyes wide as colorful puppets brought Eric Carle's beloved story to life. He sat between Alara and Marcus, occasionally whispering observations that made both adults smile. "The caterpillar is hungry like me," he announced during a quiet moment, causing several nearby parents to chuckle. "Shh, baby," Alara whispered, but Marcus leaned over and whispered back to Leo, "I think you're right. Maybe we should get him a snack after the show." The casual way Marcus included himself in their plans, the assumption that there would be an after the show, sent a warm flutter through Alara's chest. When had she stopped expecting continuity? When had she started assuming that every good moment was temporary? After the performance, they walked to a nearby park where Leo could burn off some energy on the playground. The autumn air was crisp but not cold, and the late afternoon sun filtered through the changing leaves in a way that made everything look golden and magical. Leo immediately gravitated toward the slide, his cast making him slightly more cautious than usual, but no less determined. Marcus and Alara settled on a bench nearby, close enough to supervise, but far enough to have a real conversation. "He's fearless," Marcus observed, watching Leo navigate the climbing structure with single-minded determination. "Sometimes too fearless," Alara said, thinking of the daycare accident. "I worry constantly that I'm not protecting him enough, or that I'm protecting him too much. It's like walking a tightrope. My mom used to say that parenting was the art of loving someone enough to let them fall down, but not so far that they get seriously hurt." "Your mom sounds wise." "She was. Is," Marcus corrected. "She lives in Portland now, near my sister. I try to visit when I can, but the hospital schedule doesn't always cooperate." There was something wistful in his voice that made Alara look at him more closely. "Do you miss them?" "Every day. But this is where my work is, where I can make the biggest difference. Sometimes I think about moving closer to them, but..." He trailed off, watching Leo attempt to convince another child to play dinosaurs with him. "But..." Marcus turned to look at her, his expression serious. But lately, I've been thinking that maybe home isn't just about geography. Maybe it's about the people who make you want to stay. The words hung in the air between them, loaded with meaning that made Alara's heart race. She wanted to respond, to say something equally meaningful, but Leo chose that moment to come running over, his cheeks flushed with excitement. "Mama! Marcus! Come see! There's a big dog!" Indeed, a golden retriever had appeared at the far end of the playground, its owner throwing a tennis ball while the dog bounded after it with joyful enthusiasm. Leo was practically vibrating with excitement. He'd been asking for a dog for months, but their tiny apartment and tight budget made it impossible. "Can we pet him?" Leo asked, already tugging on Alara's hand. The dog's owner, an elderly man with kind eyes, was happy to let Leo pet his gentle giant. The retriever, whose name was apparently Buster, seemed equally delighted by the attention, his tail wagging so hard his entire body wiggled. "He's so soft," Leo exclaimed, running his good hand through Buster's golden fur. "Mama, can we get a dog like Buster?" Alara felt the familiar pang of guilt that came with having to say no to something that would make Leo so happy. "Maybe someday, sweetheart, when we have a bigger place." "Dogs need lots of space to run around," Marcus added gently, crouching down beside Leo. "But maybe we could come back to this park sometimes and visit Buster. Would that be okay?" The casual "we" in his suggestion made Alara's breath catch, but Leo was nodding enthusiastically. "Yes, we can be Buster's friends." As they walked back toward the parking area, Leo skipping ahead and occasionally stopping to examine interesting leaves or rocks, Marcus fell into step beside Alara. "I hope I didn't overstep back there," he said quietly. "With the dog thing, I know it's not my place to—" "You didn't overstep," Alara interrupted. "You handled it perfectly. Better than I did, actually. I always feel guilty when I have to tell him no about things like that." "You shouldn't. You're giving him everything he needs, even if it's not everything he wants. There's a difference." They'd reached their cars, parked side by side in the small lot. Leo was starting to show signs of tiredness, leaning against Alara's legs while she dug through her purse for her keys. "I had a wonderful time today," Marcus said, his voice soft. "Both of you. You make everything brighter." Alara looked up at him, struck by the sincerity in his expression. "We had a wonderful time too. Leo hasn't stopped talking about dinosaurs all week." "And what about you?" Marcus asked, stepping slightly closer. "What have you been thinking about?" The honest answer was that she'd been thinking about him constantly, replaying their conversations, analyzing every text message, wondering if this feeling in her chest was hope or just setting herself up for disappointment. But standing there in the golden afternoon light, with Leo sleepy and content against her side, and Marcus looking at her like she was something precious, the truth felt less scary than it had all week. "I've been thinking about you," she admitted quietly. Marcus's smile was radiant. "Good. Because I've been thinking about you too. About both of you." He reached out and gently touched her cheek, his thumb brushing across her skin in a gesture so tender it made her eyes water. "Alara, I know this is complicated. I know you have every reason to be cautious. But I want you to know that I'm not going anywhere. Whatever this is between us, I want to see where it goes." Before she could respond, Leo tugged on her jacket. "Mama, I'm tired." The moment broke but gently, like a soap bubble floating away rather than popping. Marcus stepped back, but his eyes never left hers. "I'll call you tomorrow," he asked. "I'd like that." As she buckled Leo into his car seat, her son already drowsy from the day's adventures, Alara felt something she hadn't experienced in a very long time. The sense that her life was expanding rather than contracting. For so long, her world had been small by necessity. Just her and Leo. Just survival. Just getting through each day. But Marcus was offering something different. Not a rescue, not a solution to her problems, but a partnership. A chance to build something together, rather than simply enduring alone. "Mama?" Leo's sleepy voice came from the back seat as she started the car. "Yes, baby?" "I like Marcus. He's nice to us." "Yes, he is," Alara agreed, her heart full. He's very nice to us. As she drove home through the tree-lined streets, Leo dozing in his car seat and the memory of Marcus's touch still warm on her cheek, Ilara allowed herself to imagine a future that included more than just survival. A future that included laughter and partnership and maybe, just maybe, love. For the first time since Mark had walked out of their lives, she was ready to stop just surviving and start living again.